breaking down here, and I might just close it up, and then it started to bounce back. So that was good. Okay, we are live on YouTube, and good
Holy
morning
smoke, and it's Thursday.
It's Thursday, yeah. Yeah, I tell you, mate. I mean, we are. We've just been talking about it, but even before that, I was just thinking, my goodness, I could do with a bit of a break. Just stop kind of flipping the way I'm looking at things right now. Do you know what I'd quite like to do, mate? Just take a week away from the charts, just to look at some data. I know it sort of doesn't sound like much of a break, but at least there's no active decisions having to be made. Just kind of collating a bit of data and just getting a nice handle on some of the stronger performers out there to make some other decisions. I'd just quite like to do that, I think.
Well, why don't we look at that sometime next month, eh?
Yeah, well, I think that'll be a grand idea. Good morning, Emmanuel. How are you doing? Good morning, Shukri, Sweet, Dennis, Sino. How should we manage the CAD Swiss and CAD Yen trades? Let's have a look at them. I'm looking to trade the FTSE short, so I'm going to keep my eye on that as well. Now, I don't know whether we should have a look at potentially doing this first, and then we can talk about the CAD. If you are on the way with those, that is a good thing. There was almost another opportunity. Let me just check out the CAD Swiss.
She's a bungee cord market, I'll tell you. It's up and down like no tomorrow.
What's that?
The market itself, or the currency market, it's
Yeah.
just crazy.
Can't
get any follow through anyway.
I mean, stops at break even at this point look pretty. Actually, maybe not. Maybe not. Let's just have a look. They still look okay. Okay. I would be tightening these up now on the CAD Swiss. We were at 40. I'd be bringing them down to 30. Just above this area here. It should be okay. You look at this on a 4-hour chart, and I think this is probably the most telling. It looks like a nice head and shoulders pattern going on here. Looks like a break of this trend line here. So shoving stops at around about 30 would be right. It doesn't mean that you're not above these bars here anymore, but I think if we look at these with pivots, yeah, going around about where the pivot area is, I think is the sensible thing. So bringing those stops down around about 10 pips looks to me like the best possible trade management with that for right now, just to let it breathe. Let's just get back to the FTSE for a moment, because we're about to open up the market, and you can see that there's just a little bit of a breakdown here. I'm just looking to see whether this hourly is going to be breaking down under this weekly pivot. That's the entry level there. It's about 30 pips away from where we currently sit, but it might not end up being as low as that. It really does depend on how we open. Now, we are now open in the market, so I'm just going to check out what we've got going on here. Oh my goodness me. Do you know one of the issues right now, Jeff, is that there is just an absolute escape in volume. There's just no volume going on here at all. No, they're all. I mean, they may be taking their time off. So we are looking for a short here in the FTSE, but I'd quite like to get it under this point here. Now that does. I might even let me just see if I can put that order in and whether there's any need. Yeah, I quite like. I'd quite like this. I think the order on the FTSE is under this bar here. There's a little bit of indecision here, but I am seeing that weakness starting to creep into the market this morning, and don't mind this area as it is. You know, when you kind of look at along the top here, there's a bit of a test of that trend line, and I actually don't mind this area already. So to take a trade short here wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But what I quite like about getting under this bar is that it might just give us just a bit, make things just a little bit more comfortable, just to kind of suggest that the timing is right, and also it might even give us an area for the stop loss. Putting the stop loss up at the daily pivot is probably the safest, and it'll give us a little bit of room to maneuver if there's a little spike. I'm not sure why there would be, but let's just have a quick look at what might be driving things a little bit as well. Leave those open there. Right, so it seems that the rising virus cases are taking precedent over policy. Now, talking of policy, we have a Bank of England rate decision today. So this is the other reason that it might be wise just to kind of get an entry under a bar rather than just taking the trade, because there's a few bits and pieces out there. We got the Swissies is about to be in focus. Now, one thing about the CAD and the reason that the CAD still is potentially going to continue to be weak is that when we look back at some of the stockpiling that we've had from the US, crude oil inventories, it's climbing here a little bit, isn't it? So because they've got a little bit of stockpiling going on, that could potentially weaken the WTI price and or XTI, I guess it is on this. So a little bit weaker in the CAD looks pretty good. I get a stops a little bit further out on around about that weekly pivot for the CAD Swiss probably would be just about safe enough. You got about half an hour to wait before that trade either takes off or takes you out. I would suggest. So look out for this 8:30 time frame, which is in around about half an hour. I wouldn't anticipate it going too far before that particular number is released, and you need this number to be in your favor. So I don't think stops that tight is the answer. To put stops too tight is the answer. But you might well get right back up to entry. I mean, you might be more comfortable closing the trade altogether until that announcement's done. But the structure here looks good, doesn't it? Looks like we're breaking down under this daily pivot. We've even had a step down with daily pivot as well. Maybe that shows us a little bit about the price action. So looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. So I wouldn't be putting it just above this bar. I'd be just leaving it above here just to give it some room. At least that way, if it closes above the daily pivot, then there's another choice that can be made, and probably coming out break even would be fine. So Sino still looks good, doesn't it? CAD Swiss still looks like a decent opportunity, and actually after that press release, then maybe a re-entry. Yes, there's a UK policy, monetary policy later on, SWE, which is a bit annoying, to be honest. I don't know if any of you have got the pound Sing. We don't have it on Fusion here, but I got it on my other broker, and the pound Sing looks like a decent short. You know, I really like the look of that as a potential short, but we're not 100% sure, even from some of the press releases, what the Bank of England are going to say. So we're going to have to wait on the pound Sing for an opportunity. Not too keen just yet. Some of those employment numbers out of Australia were poor, weren't they, mates? And we've seen a breakdown. Oh, just quickly on the euro. Sorry, just to ask you a question, then cut back in again, Jeff. But the euro, I've closed out. I got very fortunate with this euro yesterday. Not to say that I won't re-enter, but as price came down here, Jerome Powell had spoken. And I came back and looked at the chart, and I thought, you know what, I'm not really that keen anymore. So I closed it. I closed it out at the bottom, and it started to rally. So I'm now out of the pound euro. The euro dollar. I've decided to close my position with the euro dollar. Decent profit on it, and I did see a little bit of upside kind of coming. So I've decided to close that position. So I'm now out of euro dollar. But I am really interested in this FTSE for a short. But yeah, I like I like the pound sing. But yeah, sorry, mate. Let's go back to what I was asking you. Aussie, what happened last night? Any further news on this that you can give us apart from the headline?
No, not really, mate. Although I don't consider that to be a bad number. I know it's in red paint, but what the heck do we expect? Really, at the end
Yeah,
of the day, it's going to be bad no matter what, compared to inverted commas normal. But there would be a whole lot of stack of countries around the world that could be wishing for an unemployment rate of 7.1% right now, I would have
yeah.
thought.
Yeah, and it's one of those, isn't it, mate? You look at the Oz and you think, really good shape as a nation. Comparatively speaking, the China issue is a bit problematic, but aside from that, got to quite like the way that the Aussie is looking. And maybe an unemployment rate as we've had actually provides a buying opportunity rather than a selling opportunity, because I totally agree. I think Australia does.
That's what my thought process is, and I
Yeah,
agree with Dennis and what he's saying, that the rate is far higher than what the headline is. But you can say that for every country in the world. They're not
yeah,
telling you the real numbers. They don't
yeah,
even know the real numbers, I would have thought. But yeah, it's worse, definitely
yeah,
worse.
yeah. Yeah, I think the Australian economy seems anyway on the face of it to be in a much better position
Yeah, the
than some
China
of its.
issue aside, it should do very, very well. But
Yeah, and that's something that will filter through, isn't it, rather than anything else. Pound doesn't look great there. Pound CAD,
so
pound
I'm a
CAD.
little bit of an Aussie bull now, not against anything, not against the dollar, but just about
Yep.
anything else. I'm an Aussie bull. Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Mate,
mate. Well, sorry,
post down trade, yeah.
I've just realised. Yeah, sorry. I know you have to keep reminding me of that, even after all this time. But yeah, let's go and do the pound trade.
And I was going to update the spreadsheet for today, but I haven't done it. I'll promise I'll do it over the weekend.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything startling. I think we're maybe around about break, and we might be even a little bit negative, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And
It's just
thank you,
finding the
Kuma.
time, isn't it, mate?
Time, what's that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes.
Find the time to kind of get the work done.
Kumar, look at Kumar's EA, beautiful. I don't have to do any work anymore. It's just there for me. I mean, I know we've gone past it now, but Kumar's very, very kindly provided me with this thing where it just tells me what I have to do,
Yeah.
rather than me have to sit here and work it out. And you blokes go, what's this prick up to again? He's an idiot.
Yeah.
So we've eliminated that. And thank you for that, Kumar. Very, very much appreciated. So what we've got here today is a sell order at 1.2527 with a stop loss at 1.2575. And of course, the reverse is the case for the buy at 1.2575 and the stop loss at 1.2527. Now, this is a genuine range today. There's no question about that. We've been in it since yesterday. And I'm not sure. Well, there's no secret, of course. We're getting a bank rate vote coming up very, very shortly, and of course the monetary policy, somebody that goes with that. So there's no surprise that we are in consolidation, if not lockdown, and this will change without question. But we've got about 3.5 hours before that's the case. More than that, actually. What time? Oh no, about 3 3/4 hours, yeah, and that will happen. So unless there's some suggestion that somebody is going to gamble as to what the summary might say, then we're probably going to stay within this range. And I don't really want to get triggered into it, to be fair. Yeah. Yes, Shukri, it is, and very, very happy with it. I might even try it on some different things to save me guessing what the numbers are. Very, very handy. Mate, if I'm a pound trader today, I'm not in the market yet. I'm waiting to see what happens, I think. But if I was in the market, then I definitely want to be free trading before that announcement is made. What I see here is the potential for this to go short without the announcement, of course, because we have come back inside the range, and we have retested the top of it as well, and we've got a lower high. So for all of those reasons, I'd be bearish the pound versus the dollar today, and I wish I were in, frankly. Would have been nice to get in here maybe and be free trading at this point in time. I'm not, so that's very much a moot point. Can I, in the next 2.5 hours, get in the market and be free trading? Doubt it. Really, really doubt it. If you look at that chart, where are you going to go? Where's your entry? What's your stop loss? No, it's a definite breakout situation. I've got no qualms about that. I just wish that I was down here somewhere with my entry short. The long entry is not too bad. That will challenge yesterday's range, of course, but I think it's okay. So that's the pound taken care of. I can go through what I'm looking at when you're ready, mate, or if you want to come back and have a look at the FTSE during this opening 15 minutes.
Well, to be honest, I mean, the FTSE's doing exactly what. Well, you know, we're in a bit of a situation with the FTSE that it's not ready to go. It's not ready to go. Certainly in our direction, it's still looking for a bit more upside, but there are definitely signs and signals here that we should be, you know, primed up for a short. I guess the big question is, does it happen after that Bank of England announcement or before it? So I think trading the pound or trading the FTSE could be tricky. Now, that's not to say that if I didn't have a setup in the next, you know, 10, 15 minutes, I wouldn't take it, because I absolutely would. But the FTSE is still pointing up and not ready to come down yet, except for when we look kind of under the hood, that is pointing down. So I am keen to short the FTSE. Oh, good morning, Lexi. How you doing? Good to have you in the room. Good. Hi, Susan, as well. And Helen, I think we've said hello to. Hello, Kumar. Yeah, so there's nothing to do as yet, mate. I will holler if things change. I was actually just looking at potential stocks instead, and is it Shukri? If Shukri, have a look at Ocado now, man. It looks like it might be ready for us to short on that one. So, you know, we'll check it out. Check it out later. Maybe not, actually. No, scrub that. Scrub that. There's still some, I don't know. Yeah, there might be some opportunities, mate. I'm not sure whether they're going to be in shares or whether they should be in the overall market. But the market does look like it's ready to come down. Actually, Ocado does look pretty good for a short, so I might be taking on some. I might take on a share here rather than the overall market. Now, I know that's not really fair for everybody listening in the room, but I have to do what is most profitable for my own pockets, and that might well be going into a share rather than the FTSE. But I want to see the FTSE turn around before I do that, and so far it's not. So we can check out what we need to see later on, mate. But it might well be that that we've got to wait for Bank of England, which is a bit of a pain. As I say, you know, anybody looking at the pound sing should have something which looks pretty good for some downside, but that's not available on Fusion, so can't analyze it.
That's a bit strange, really. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Again, it might be tricky, you know. Even pound sing might be a bit tricky, but I looked at this overnight last night and I was like, that looks great. Looks really good, and actually is starting to just travel now to the downside, and people might well start to sell into the decision of the Bank of England, which could put the FTSE in you know, relatively positive territory for right now. So maybe not even the FTSE would be the best option here, because some of those other global equities look pretty heavy too, and I will check those out as we go.
Roger D. Okay. Well, I'll have a look at the majors whilst we're about this area, and if you want to pull me out, then absolutely take it.
Great stuff, mate. We'll do.
Righto. So euro dollar. Yeah, absolutely bang smack in the middle of our range right now, which of course is the descending channel. probably forming. Yeah, I don't see the horizontal range very clearly, to be fair. So I think I'll stick with that as the market structure. A little bit confusing as to what happens next, I've got to say. The market's very clearly bounced off a soft level and gone through another soft level, which is the daily pivot. But yesterday's daily pivot and that bar there off the weekly pivot rather, I think I've still got to have a bearish attitude. And is it tradable? Well, not for me right now. But if I was, up my back and I'm going to say short euro dollar, let me have a look at the smaller time frames and see if there's anything there that entreats me. This one here probably does. So we've got a resistance trade line on our 30-minute chart. We've had a bit of daily pivot tay-to-taying. We'd like to see a breakout here above the resistance trend line or trade line, and then pop back underneath, retest the confluence, daily pivot and trend line or trade line, whatever you want to call it. I'll call it a trade line because it's not technically a trend line. So that will be plan A. Plan B, which is never my favorite, but it's there. If we were not to get above this trade line and come back underneath it, then a low test bar sitting on that level would be interesting as well. We've traded this one a few times this week, most notably on Aussie yen and Euro Swiss, I think. So yeah, I'm okay with that. Either way, but always the preference is to get a false break off resistance to trade short. So we'll be looking at that. Would I entertain the long is my next question. Oh, look, I suppose I would. But I don't see anything there that entices me. And really, I am still a bear until we get to the bottom of this range. So probably not. I'm not in the ballpark for longs on the euro. Dollar yen. Now, those of us who have been yen fans all week and thinking that we were going risk off, kind of got a little bit of a result yesterday. I actually did trade dollar yen on on my personal account. And I'm now out of that trade. Similar to you, Ash, I got out pretty quickly. I also traded dollar Swiss long and got out of that. So net result was 0 at the end of the day. And that's why I'm out of both of them. They were just going in the same direction, basically. And I wasn't, you're entitled to expect that in a risk-off situation, but oftentimes the dollar yen will go one way and dollar Swissy will go the other. And I was kind of banking on that. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. What do I see now? Yeah, look, I'm still a fan, but I'd definitely like to see a daily pivot test before I got short on dollar yen. So I'm really not interested in getting into the market or back into the market short. Am I interested in trading it long? Not really, but maybe a break and a retest of a trade line that's setting up there might get me interested. Or even if we pull back here, put in a higher low, and then approach the trade line with a high test bar, similar to what I've just described on the euro going the other way. Maybe there's something there, but I'm talking in the future, and it is Thursday, and we've had a reasonable week, and I'm not really chasing anything, I've got to say. Now, back to the Aussie. We were talking about the Aussie earlier and its prospects versus anything. The reason I say I don't want to trade it against the US dollar is because I'm still a dollar short-term bull until we get to the 98 handle on the dollar index. Now, I haven't had a look at the dollar index yet, but let's do that. We can do that, and we shall. If it'll actually show 97.04. Yes, that's pretty much what I've got. but I can't show you. Oh, here we go. Screen number, that one. And you should now be able to see it. Okay, so target area still remains 98. Why does that keep doing that? I don't know why. I find this very, very difficult because I've never used this platform before. So I'm still looking for this pullback to, can I draw a line here? Yeah, I can. It's probably a bit higher than that. Stay there. Good girl. I mean, boy. Or girl. The trade line's sexist. I mean, a trend
I don't know,
sexist.
mate. I don't know.
It depends on how they perform, I suppose. So yeah, I'm still looking for that pullback to the confluence
Yeah,
98 handle. And we slipped a little bit actually. This bar here was pretty cool yesterday, but it hasn't kicked the goal yet. So I'm still expecting that to happen, and for that reason, I'm very, very hesitant to trade anything. Get away! Anything long against the US dollar at the moment, and the Aussie definitely falls into that category. Not that I'm a bear the Aussie. I'm actually, because of that number that came out today, and everybody thinks, oh my God, what a bad miss. I think quite the reverse. I think the number's not too bad. And as I said before, there'd be a lot of countries around the world wishing they had an unemployment rate of 7.1%. And yes, I do take on board that that's probably a very fudged number, but the fact is it has been posted. And that's well, certainly what the retail market, retail traders will be looking at. Not so sure about the institutionals. Let's consider then that this is off limits at the moment, Aussie dollar, until such times as we prove otherwise. Dollar CAD, yeah, like everything else, is going pretty much sideways at a rate of knots, and very, very difficult to say we're going to break out in a direction here. But again, going back to my bias, I'll be favoring this probably to break to the high side. Is there a reason to think this will reverse? Let's go to the daily chart and see what we can see. I was desperate to get into this short and didn't. Yeah, look, I can't see anything that really makes me want to go long, I've got to say. This trend line is really the icing on the cake, I suppose, for that. There's a bullish move here, but really nothing's come of it, has it, at the end of the day? I think I'll be favouring this to go back short. I guess you've got to take on board that the CAD hasn't had anything outstanding come out in terms of fundamentals either. Oil, don't know what oil's doing. Haven't had a look at oil. What's oil doing, Ash? You had a look at that earlier.
Oil, yeah, we did have a quick look at that. I will check on oil. Let me just see what we got.
Cool. I'll just go dollar Swissy while we're doing that. Same. You know, we've gone into consolidation. We've come off the bottom. We've put in a higher low, but we've put in lower highs. This is a mess also, and it's very, very difficult to predict.
Currently rallying, mate. It's oil.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, but it's rallying to a potential sell zone.
Right.
What we got there? Yeah, it's rallying to a sell zone, so there may well be an opportunity to sell off oil, but it is rallying at this stage. So, bit of turnaround might be might promote some selling. Let's. Yeah, we're just going to wait on this this Swissy decision, mate. But I'm getting pretty close to taking a trade on the FTSE here.
All right. The one thing I would say about dollar Swissy is that it has got a nice little slingshot set up sitting on that resistance trade line. It's a breakout type scenario though, and unless you're firmly convinced that the dollar's going to rally and we're going risk on, you're probably going to be very circumspect about entering dollar Swissy long, I would have thought. Do I want to at this point? And I think the answer for me at this point is no, but I totally see what's going on here. We've had a nice bounce off here as a rejection bar, high test bar there, high test bar there. I think if I saw another one, it'd be very, very difficult to not place an order long. But as always, I'm looking for a break of support to be proven false. So this could work. We'll keep our eye on that one as it gets closer to that level. I'm on a 4-hour chart there, of course, and this may prove yet to be interesting as a false break off a 30-minute chart. So keep your eye on that one. I will. And if I see anything in the next half hour or so, I'll certainly let you know. But first of all, we have to have a break of that trade line. Then get back above here. Bang. That's my cue to go. Right, mate. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to taking a trade in the FTSE. The question I've got is not whether I'm going to get in, because it is going to be before that Bank of England release, which is just a bit problematic. You know, if I'm going to grade the trade, then it's going to have to be graded somewhere in the middle, because the setup looks pretty good. You can see a breakdown here of this little channel on the hourly. So this we got this this channel on the hourly moving up here. I'm just going to double check that. Actually, it doesn't look like.
I'll give you guys some trade management of the trades we're in, by the way, when I next come back.
No, actually, I'm not going to use that. I think I'll use this. That looks okay to me there, which puts this here. And I know we've probably already reached the measured move on this. Yeah, we have, to the pip. So that's we have had that measured move on this particular pattern, but we're still with it. We're still outside it. So it does become a little bit more problematic, because we've already kind of we've already extended beyond what it should have done, and you can see that there's just a little bit of a horizontal level over here as well that we've managed to bounce off. So we've got to take that level out for us to get something going on. It might end up being it's not a very clean one, but we might be looking at some sort of M topping pattern up here as well. So the pattern's probably going to need to evolve. It looks like we might have that going on, which isn't the best M topping pattern, but it's probably there. Maybe it comes from that point there. So if the M topping pattern's to work out, then we're probably aiming between these two areas here, which does give us down a little bit lower. We're going to aim for that monthly pivot most likely on this. But I quite like the way the bar's shaping up. But let's see if that that Swissy news has any bearing whatsoever on some negativity with the FTSE. Ocado's not ready. I just had a good look at Ocado. That's not ready, but I still quite like it for some downside. But that's got some shaping up to do. Ah, mate, you know what? I thought the FTSE was about to break down for us, but it hasn't. I thought maybe we'd start to get below this this weekly pivot and we'd be able to take a trade, but actually that hasn't happened. Now, the likelihood is I'm still looking at the shorts, and I'm really either waiting for this to turn around and start looking and start going long, so I can't consider the shorts anymore, or I'm waiting for just a bit more of just a bit more of a confidence signal that this is breaking down. And I'd much prefer it to be after the Bank of England. The big question I've really got, though, because I don't think it will, I've got a feeling this is going to give me a signal before that Bank of England announcement. The big question I've got really is, do I scale in or do I go all in? Because the thing is, the setup is pretty nice, but there is that elephant in the room. And in actual fact, I might well have made a decision on it. I think what I'll probably do is go in at 3/4. So normally I'd go in at halves, but I think I'll go in at 3/4. And if it pops up again, then I'll add the other quarter later on. But at least that minimizes the risk a little bit. The stop is going to be just above this area here. So it's probably going to have to be above the daily pivot. Now, if it takes this trend line out, that is starting to turn around. And I might well close the position if it closes. If I enter down here and all of a sudden if we get above that level, if I've taken an entry down here and then we close above that level, if I'm a little bit away from the stop, I might well close up and just wait for a cleaner signal, or wait for that Bank of England decision, because what I don't want is choppy price action and then potentially going to the upside, because it could be showing me a long and a short at that time. So I'm going to enter with the idea that the setup has to be the ideal setup, and even some moves against my price will promote me to close the trade rather than letting it breathe. I don't think I'll do that, given what we've got. So what I want to see is this look to break down and actually break down. If it doesn't do that, then I'm going to close the position. But it's not there yet, mate. As I say, now let's just have a look at that that Swissy scenario. What's happened with that? Well, that isn't particularly good behavior. That's not a very nice reaction to an announcement. They've left the rate on hold. I guess we get the press conference, and if you want to thumb through that, then that might be worth doing. I think the timing on this could be a little bit off, but watch out for this one, because if this starts to close again above the daily pivot, then that's going to be worth closing as well. It's just suggesting that timing is out at the minute, and then what you've got is really a scenario where you can either stand and hold because you've got a belief that this is coming down. Or you say, I believe it's coming down, but my timing isn't quite right. So I'm going to come out here and wait for the signal to re-emerge. And that's the way that I would prefer to play this. So, you have to ultimately make your own choice on this. But that's not the best. That's not the best reaction after a rate decision. It's pretty benign. And what that's effectively telling us is that it's not important enough to move the market. So what's being weighted on, and that's the question that needs to be answered. I guess we should have a look actually and just see what.
Isn't it crazy? We're in a different world. We really are in a different world, because interest rates announcements and trading in on small time frames, you just wouldn't go there. But these days, it hardly measures anything on the Richter scale, does it? It just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. It is a very different scenario that we are trading through right now, which it's good and bad, isn't it? I mean, it's as long as you can kind of grab the reins of the beast and make sure that you understand how to ride it, then actually you can still make some well, you can probably make better money in some respects. But the market is going through different phases, and it's as we were talking about with the sentiment cycle, and as we always talk about with the sentiment cycle, the thing to establish is what phase are we in, and if you can establish that, then the area that you're trading through becomes just a bit clearer of what you should do next. Whether you should hold on or whether you are looking at short-term opportunities, but. There looks to be an ADP non-farm employment change out of Canada later, which could put pay to that trade, and that might be the better timing. So be careful not to marry the trade too much. Don't get too kind of attached to it. If it's not looking good anymore, look for another opportunity. And then there's nothing else. In fact, core retail sales out of Canada will give us a bit of a hint of the health of that. The forecast is absolutely atrocious. So there's certainly some potential weakness out there. With the CAD, and I think the inventories out of inventory number out of the States yesterday wasn't particularly good potentially for the CAD. We've got some core retail sales that don't look particularly good. That there could be some positioning going into that particular number as well. So it doesn't look, you know, on the face of the projections that we should be doing anything but shorting the CAD. But the timing might not be there yet. And I guess if you're in profit already, then you can start to manage this. You know, alternatively, you could just put a stop above this level now. You know, maybe put a stop at 0.710, keeps you in the trade, and if it does, if the timing is off, then you get taken out and try and re-enter again. And if the timing's not, then you're better than free trading, and you can see if this floats down. But with this kind of thing, that you have to consider whether the timing is right. But the entry's not too bad, is it? It was at 115, so I think even putting a stop at break even at very minimum would be a good idea here. You know, secure what there is in the trade, because it's gone in our favor. This should look like a lower high. And if it's not, you're going to get taken out, and the market will either give an opportunity or be going to the upside of that particular juncture. So, I think just back to your original question, Sino, stops at break even on this one would be a good idea, I think. Yeah, we are. You're absolutely right, Helen, and we always are. We're always trading relativity with relativity, really. And when you get into a trade, and you know. Um, Alexis will tell you this. When you're looking at a trade, and when you're looking at a currency pair, you're not looking at the currency, the base currency in isolation. You're looking at the base currency against the other currency that you're trading at. So to know what the numbers are from for between the two currencies is what the game's about. So it is about relative. You're trading, you know, the relative strength of one versus the other. The Aussie might have posted some pretty poor numbers, but actually, relatively speaking, could you still trade it long against the CAD, for example? If the CAD's going to print that minus 12% in retail sales, Aussie would probably look pretty attractive against the CAD, wouldn't it? In actual fact, let's have a quick look at that. And the reason I'm saying that is that if Aussie numbers have been deemed to be poor, then that could create a buying opportunity. So not that there's one there, but but it could do. You know, if that comes down to the monthly pivots or round about this area, that is going to start looking like a really good Aussie long again.
I've got a long in the market now. I'll share that with you shortly.
Yeah, let's have a look, mate. Let's have a look. The FTSE's just decided to go to sleep on me anyway, so we're going to have to
Yeah,
wait.
my foot has too. I don't know what's going on.
You
Must be the cold weather.
Be careful with that term pegged, Helen. You know, people say pegged quite a lot, and usually pegged means that there's no difference between the currency rate from one period to the next. So you know, the dollar is relative to these others, but it's not actually pegged to it. You know, there are currencies that are pegged to the dollar, but the yen and the euro, the Swissy and the pound aren't pegged to the dollar. So yeah, but be careful how you kind of think of that term. You know, that the actual term doesn't mean that they move relative to the dollar. Yeah, let's have a look anyway, mate. Sorry, let's have a look at what you're talking about.
And I'll update all these trades that we're in or that we're remaining in. And I'm not sure how many. I always get confused with what show I'm in, and I don't know how many of these trades you guys are actually in, but we will discover that as we go. Aussie CAD, because you had that chart up, I have got an order long above this bar here. That may change shortly. If this low gets taken out, I'll probably get rid of that. But at the moment, I've got my entry just above the weekly pivot and this bar. And if you want to follow that, it's at 0.9345. The stop loss is at 0.9295. And I'm taking first profit at 20 pips. I'll remove half at that point. And I've got a default setting here. I'll probably get rid of that. I'll just take the lot off. The target will be here around about the DR2 mark. I think that's about 50 odd pips, something like that. So it's only a 1-to-1 trade really at the end of the day, which will only net you less than that. It's a bit more than that. You probably get about 3/4 to 1 out of this. And that's about all if you do take profit there. Depends how much you take off, of course. So that's not going to be sexy to anybody except me. But I just thought I'd let you know that that is the case. Whatever else we need to discuss in terms of now is probably not much. So let's go through the trades that we're in. Euro yen. Now I snuck my take profit early on this. Silly me, really, at the end of the day, because we did go down to the original take profit. So hopefully you guys got all of that. At 119.95 was the original take profit. And I have got my stops in a non-lose situation at entry. Yes, I've got my stops at entry. So I can only win on this. I'll just let this go and do absolutely nothing else. If this goes to hell in a handbasket, happy days, we'll make a truckload of money. If it goes to a support level, like the monthly pivot, I will definitely take some profit, or I'll just tighten my stops up really, really tight on that. And if it does go against us, then I'll look to get back in at some stage. I may even look to scale back into this, because I do think in the medium term, we've got a really good shot of getting down to these levels. So let's see how we go. So nothing to do here. If you haven't taken TP1, you should have, most definitely, because that was called at 119.95 and it's been through that level. What you do with your stops is probably up to you guys. I have moved them to entry. So I think that goes to my thought process at the moment, which is, and I said it from the top of the show, these things are not giving us a lot of follow through at the moment. So locking money and putting money in the bank is tantamount to, I think, survival, frankly, because when the retracements come, they're very swift, and in general terms, they're fairly deep as well. So, this could go straight back to the top of the range here without any thought of you, me, or anybody else. So just take profit, I reckon, where you can take profit. And that for me will be probably at the monthly pivot, as I said, on this next move. So that's Euro Yen. That's the second time we've been in this, of course. We put 2 trades on this. First one was a very small winner. And now this one is potentially, and I said this was where you will make our money. If we do make our money, this will be the trade that we do that with. So happily, yes, we've made some money already. But if we get down to here, that's when we'll make our real money. That trade on Aussie CAD I just told you about. So we're not in that yet. The other trades that we are in, Euro Swiss, which triggered yesterday. What have I done with this? I have got my stops at break even, I think. Not break even, at took 45. No, I didn't. Talking about the wrong. Oh, Aussie CAD was the other one. Aussie Yen. Can't remember which one. Aussie Yen. TP1 was hit. I haven't got the parameters up here for some reason, but I'm still at risk. So I've only taken a third off here. So I'm still at risk in this trade. So yes, it is, Brian, essentially. So this is looking okay for me. Entry level is bang on where we've turned around again. Hopefully this will just continue to go down. TP2 was around about here, 106.40, I think it was, or 106.45, one of the two. We haven't hit that, of course. If we do, then stops go to entry and we then let this rip. No need to change that, I don't believe. We are at risk, but it's only small risk now. We've got 1/3 off the table, as I said. And if you want to trade your stops down to here, then happy days, do so. Will your friend on crypto join the, okay. Yeah, up to you guys. If you want to lock in some profit, as I've just suggested, and you haven't done so, then get something off the table here. I think that's a wise decision, because this could, of course, now having had a look above the daily pivot, it could go that way, and you don't want to be really losing money here. So yeah, look, I've had a pretty reasonable week, so I'm okay to leave that risk on the table, but it's very, very small, so I'm okay with it. Aussie yen, I'm now out of Aussie yen, and shouldn't be really, I suppose. We hit our TP1 on Aussie yen, I think probably during the announcement today, the interest rate announcement. We traded this yesterday. Actually, we traded this in the US session, didn't we? So you guys probably don't even know about this trade. So I won't dwell on it, but if you are in this trade, interesting. I moved my stops to entry after I took TP1 because of the news. I didn't know what was going to happen, frankly. So I've won, but could have been better. And if the market does perceive these numbers to be poor, then this should fall away. We'll see. I'm out of it, so I really don't have an investment. 2 more to go. We're still in pound yen. This one looks really good. I'm really, really happy with this trade. And I do have my stops in a safe place, having taken first profit. You could take second profit at this level if you so chose. My TP2 is down here a little bit closer to monthly pivot. And if we were to hit that, the stops go to entry, of course. They're now safe already. Is this the one I took 45 on? I think it was. No, it's not. Can't remember. Aussie yen, maybe. No, I don't know. I'm lost. I see, actually, I get completely bamboozled with when I've got so many trades in the market. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, didn't we?
No idea where I am. Yeah.
Yeah, difficult to. You still got the 5, have you?
Well, now I've got Euro yen.
Yeah.
Euro Swissy.
Yeah.
Aussie yen I'm now out of. Pound yen we're still in. Pound CAD we're still in. So I've only got 4 going.
You got 4. You know, this is the thing, isn't it, mate? I mean, I kind of somebody once said to me about all this. They said, you know, there's a really good invention called the pen, and I was like, yeah, that's all well and good, but I lose the piece of paper that I've written it on. So...
Well, if you could see my desk, it's got about 400,000 pieces of paper on it, and I've always been that way.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know. Even when I have my spreadsheets and stuff, you know, just sort of like there's another one and another one and another one. There's got to be a better way, mate. There's got to be a better way.
They're called PAs or secretaries.
Yeah, that's what we need. That's what we need.
What I'll do is I've probably got, I don't know how many phone numbers and little codes next to them. In 3 weeks' time, I'll say to my wife, where's that? There was that number for Harry Blogs, who sells blogs or whatever the case may be. She'll say on your desk, and I'll go for probably the next hour and a half looking for that number, and I'll say, no, it's not. And then she'll come straight away and she'll say, there it is.
Yeah, I know. Just on Dennis as well. I'm just catching up, but yeah, Shukri, you're right. The Hong Kong dollar is pegged. And Helen, yeah, I get it. So just a slip of terminology. Ash, will your friend on crypto join the show? I've got to speak to him. I'm due to speak to him on Monday. I'm going to write it on a piece of paper on my desk now, okay? So I'll remember that. Dennis asking about obviously what goes on here has nothing to do with the Daily Wave Rider in the mentorship program. Is this a part of what you guys do here? Dennis, if somebody asks a Daily Wave Rider specific question, I will certainly deal with it, and I will certainly I will have to be, you know, to a degree a little bit masked, because I don't know if there are people that are just finding us on YouTube that are nothing to do with the program. But if you've got a question on a currency pair that's a Daily Wave Rider setup, then I can certainly talk about it in enough detail to give you what you need. But it's not a Daily Wave Rider show, no. This show is Jeff and I chewing the fat. That is basically that's the
That's
premise of
exactly
the
how
show.
it was designed. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's just.
I mean, we decided that we'd like to have, you know, compare notes going into a session and spend an hour or so together and see if we can come up with something that makes sense. And that's exactly how this started, and nothing more than that. The idea was to share what we think with those who want to join in, and pretty much that's it. And if you guys have got something to share, that's absolutely fine with us as well.
Yes, it is. You can even pop in. We're quite happy to give you some powers if you've got enough detail. Then you know we're more than happy to do that after we've spoken to the powers that be. But it's a show for all sorts, really. That's the way that we're kind of figuring it. You know, the motley crew, in a way. Jeff and I have got our approach to trading, and that's the way we trade, and that's what we tend to talk about. But I do understand the daily wave, right? I don't understand, or not so much. I don't understand. I don't know the parameters of the 4 hour and the hourly. But you know, Alexis is in the room. We'll get Alexis to come on and maybe talk about that. So, or Lloyd could come in. So we can get the guys on as well. You know, if your friend wants to come in and get a little bit of help on the show and just get some ideas of what they're looking at, then they are very, very welcome.
Absolutely. One more, the last one, pound CAD. We are just shy of entry here at the moment. We're in the trade, so we have been triggered into this. This is the last trade that I'm in at the moment. May not be the last one for the week because there's probably a couple setting up. But I really don't need or want to get into any more trades. It's a crazy thing. If these all go our way, you know, we'll be doing pretty well for the week. We're already pretty well. We're safe. We can't lose. We're in good position. If this one goes, then that will be 6 out of 6, I think, for the week.
That'd be amazing.
This is the only one that's potentially negative, so we'll see how that goes. That is all, mate. As far as management for this is concerned, there is none. We'll just let this go, and you've got your TP1 guys at 68.60, which is now 115 pips from where we are, which is very, very close to our entry level. So let's hope that one goes as well, and we have a pretty good old time counting our money on Monday.
Yeah, that sounds good, mate. Well, to be honest, nothing is really going on here, and it's almost better. In some respects, I'm pleased the FTSE didn't shape up for downside, because we might get a better move after the rate decision. But by the same token, I almost ignored the pound sing because of that, and actually that one has gone. So that one's a bit going to be a bit frustrating, I think, for me. But you know, there might be another opportunity. But pound sing still looks to me like a decent short. Don't love the price as much as I did. The price that we really want to try and get in is 1.780. So if we can get that price, then great. We don't have it on Fusion, but if you guys have got it on IFS, then the pound sing would probably be the kind of trade of the day, the currency that I like the most today. Aside from that, the FTSE is as quiet as a library at this particular stage. It's not moving. There's just no volume at all in the market. Could be time of year, could be rate decision. I don't know, but it's incredibly quiet. And if you just look at your market watch window and check out the ticker, things just aren't going anywhere, are they? You know. Now remember, one of our best friends is volatility, and that is something that we are pretty much completely devoid of right now.
Yeah, it's not happening. You know, the interesting part is, I suppose, that once we recognise that, it's a matter of just adjusting to it, and like I said earlier, just get something off the table pretty quickly.
Yeah,
if you get into a profitable position, and
yeah,
you know, I think as unwittingly probably as you were doing that yesterday, it's exactly what you're doing, Ash, and I did the same on Aussie Yen this morning.
Yeah, do you know my decision yesterday, and you know, the decision has to be made for everybody, but the same with the CAD Swiss. The decision has to be made if the market is no longer moving after the potential catalyst. then the most sensible thing to do, if you are selling and it's in a buy zone, the most sensible thing to do is either take so much profit out of it that it really doesn't matter whether it comes back, or just close the position and wait for another opportunity. Because the catalyst hasn't made it go in the direction that you'd hope it would. And as I say, I put the CAD Swiss in the same thing. Catalyst that could have taken this to the downside would have been that Swiss announcement. That hasn't happened, so you have to start going, well, what's going to be the catalyst? And if it is going to be those retail sales, you're going to probably get pretty much the same price around that retail sales number. So better off just closing it up and taking some profit, and then re-entering. So the market is not conducive for a move at this current stage, at this current time.
No, but there's always an upside. Whenever the market goes into a range, that gives me a very, very strong opportunity to trade it. So I'm more than happy with that being the case.
Yeah.
And answering the question earlier on Aussie CAD, am I playing the bounce off the bottom of the range? Absolutely, I'm playing the bounce off the bottom of the range. This technically is a higher low on this one. I know there's not much in it, but they're the kind of rules. I'd actually placed an order earlier on this bar, but since we came down to here on that news, I figured, okay, here's a better entry. So that's why I placed that one on Aussie CAD. Time for a break from trading. Look, yes, because of the mental strain that we that we go through every day, Helen, and we've been doing this now for how long? What are we, 18th of June? So 6 months. We're 6 months into this year, and it is now around about now that I'm looking to just ease off a bit and go, whew, let's take a little break. And yeah, we're looking at that next month. We might take a little break from this show, but yeah, we like being here as well. That's the other thing.
We do. I think that the thing is that, so we do like being here, and we do like it's an opportunity for Jeff and I to get together as well. But also, I think it's just sensible. Sometimes you just need a bit of a break, because otherwise, the market is pretty much open every day except for the weekend, and otherwise you just get a little bit of mental burnout. There's so much information coming at you, from on a day-to-day basis, and then couple that with the emotional information that you've got to deal with too. I think there's times we just have to go, right, let's just regroup a little bit, get a decent night's sleep, and then you kind of add in all the other commitments that life provides as well, and I think something's got to give eventually, and to get the best out of yourself, then taking a break is probably the most sensible thing to do.
Shivers, we'll try our stop too before I forget to do that. The 125.38. We need to move our stops too. Why is that not letting me do that? There we go. 125.38. So what we've done there is eliminate 37 pips of loss, if that were to be the case. So stops now should be above that bar there. We got triggered on this one on the 15-minute chart. 2 bars of selling. Stops should be there. We would really like to have some spirited selling, but yeah, we're at the bottom of a range here. That's probably not likely at this point, where we're coming into an interest rate announcement. So yeah, it's probably not going to happen. And these are the things that we need to consider when we go through and add filters to this beginning, first week of next month. We're going to do that. We'll be just shy of 3 months at that point. We won't be analyzing it in this show. We'll be analyzing it so we'll be adding the filters in the US session, but we'll certainly give you the results of that in the UK session on a daily basis. But the analysis itself we'll be doing in the US session. So, mate, I'll just very, very quickly have a whip round the 30-minute charts to see if there's anything worthwhile.
Okey-dokes.
But at the moment, I doubt that's the case. Dollar yen's having a little bit of a run at the daily pivot, perhaps. Aussie's going sideways at the rate of knots. If that were on a trade line, I might get interested in it, though. Just hang on a sec. No, I don't want to trade it against the dollar. And that's a bit too sharp. No. As you were. Dollar CAD sideways. That's the daily chart, though. I better go to the 30-minute. No, you'd want to be keen to be trading that. Dollar Swissy. I didn't change the long on that, did I? We're just out of it completely. We spoke about this candle, didn't we? Yeah. No, I'll stick with what I've said. I might just look to sneak something through here on the 30-minute chart. No, it's not there. I thought we might have a little resistance trade line there that we could play a break and retest of, but I don't. But it's interesting. I still think that's a possibility for a long, but it's not setting up for me. Kiwi, the Kiwi just refuses to go anywhere as well. Yeah, it's really tough to find anything there also. No, I'm only chasing things here if I go looking, and really there's nothing. The chart is the chart. It's not jumping off the table at me. So I don't need to trade anymore. Why do it? How do we watch the US session? Gee whiz, that's a good question, isn't it? That's a subscribe thing, Dennis. Contacted actions to Wealth Ash. Is that how we do that?
I don't know, but yeah, is a good question.
I mean, we should know, really.
Telegram?
Telegram Sam.
Have you got the Telegram group, Dennis? I think there's a link in the Telegram group that normally gets sent out that you can click on the link and that will take you through. Contact James, Shukri say. Thank you, Shukri.
Yeah.
Contact James.
We're great salesmen, aren't we?
That's not what we are. That's not what we're built for, mate.
No, that's not my thing. I got to say.
No, we're not. We're not here to be salesmen. We're here to provide information, and then if people want to kind of come into a different session and pay for the subscription, then that is your choice. But we're not here for any kind of hard push. That's just not our game, is it?
No, that's not why I'm here. That's not what I'm built on either. Definitely not. But we do have to pay the bills, of course, and the US session is a way to contribute to that. But it's very cheap. It's like $34.95 a month or something. Singapore dollars. Yes, that's right.
Yeah. It is. It is very good value. Very good value.
We think so.
But yeah. Anyway, we're here to kind of share information, enjoy trading, and take trades and everything else. And the US session is where we get to just some deeper parts of some of that, and obviously take some more trades if they are there. And we always try and make the money back. That's the plan as well. But we don't. I don't know why, but we just don't have the information here. So I would contact James, or maybe have a look at the Telegram group. I think we might have to sort that out actually, Jeff, just to get a screen saver here that we can.
So we can actually answer the question. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. So we'll contact James as well, Dennis, and see what we can find for you. Okay, mate. Well, let's get out of here, and we'll be back for the US session, of course. By that time, the FTSE hopefully would have shaped up for us, because by that time we would have had that rate decision out by the Bank of England. And after that, then we hopefully will have some opportunities. So we'll see how we get on. It's not breaking down at the minute. It's very, very quiet out there, but it might just be the calm before the storm. So that is us, mate. Well, we will see the rest of you next week.
Have a great weekend, everyone, and enjoy it. And hopefully you can put some money in the bank before you finish tomorrow. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. Okay. All right. So we'll see you next week at on Monday. Have a great weekend. Have a great weekend, Dennis. Have a great weekend, everyone else. We'll see the rest of you at Monday at 5 to 8.
That's a date. Don't be late.